Hey everyone, good to see all of you guys here. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone around the world, no matter where you're at. It's great to have you guys here. So this is Viper Strike's City Tour Series. This one in particular will be taking us 2 weeks, as we're actually traveling to Rome, but this is going to be a bit different. You see, with Rome having the vast history and the cultures, and not only we're covering Rome, but we're also covering the Vatican City. And due to the fact there's so many landmarks and the history of it's so deep, that we have to split this up for 2 weeks. So where are we at here? Well, we're here right now at Istanbul. Now, some bit of background information about Istanbul for a lot of those who don't know. Istanbul in particular was used to be called as Constantinople back in the old days. It was founded as Byzantium in 330 CE. It was founded as Byzantium in the 7th century BCE. It became known as Constantinople in 330 CE, and it served as an imperial capital for over 1600 years, from the Roman days to from the Romans to the Byzantines, and even the Ottoman empires, from 330 all the way to 1922. This city is known for many iconic landmarks, but the most iconic landmark in all of Istanbul is without question the Hagia Sophia, one of the world's great great religious monuments. It originally was built as a Eastern Orthodox Church all the way back in 360. It actually took almost 200 years to actually complete the Hagia Sophia. It became a church, and then for the Eastern Orthodox, and then it became a mosque from 1453 to 1935. Then it became a museum, which lasted from 1935 to 2020, and then it was reverted back to being a mosque in 2020. So that is a bit about Istanbul. So let's talk about today's flight plan today. So we're going to travel from Istanbul into Rome. So basically, we're connecting Eastern Rome to Western Rome, basically, which is another reason I wanted to actually fly from here today. So we're going to go travel from Istanbul. We're going to travel from Ataturk Airport. We're going to go travel through the Sea of Manara. We're going to travel through Thrace into Bulgaria, a bit of Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Croatia. They cross the Adriatic Sea, and once we descend, we'll descend down here, fly through all this area for approach, go around here, and then we'll be landing here at Virumensio Airport. This is Rome's main international airport. This should take us around about 866 nautical miles to get here. So this should be pretty nice. So what are we flying for today? Well, I actually, it's an airliner, but it's a bit different from the other airliners I've flown on stream. And this is also a third-party add-on. And this here in particular, this is the BAE 146. This particular one is the QT variant, the cargo variant. Now this was made by Just Flight, and I managed to snag this up for Sim Market for $52, which is absolute worth the money. This plane is a really, really nice plane. So a bit of a background information about the BAE 146 that we should probably know. This little plane was actually first flew back in September 3rd, 1981. It was introduced into service in 1983. Around nearly 600 were built between all the different versions. Powered by 4 engines, this little bad boy can actually reach a cruising speed of around 426 max, and normally cruises around 404 knots. It can reach 35,000 feet, and the range on this is around, depending on where you're at. Apparently, this thing can reach up to 1,800 nautical miles. But yeah, this has served many operators, including Turkish. Ah, nice, Castella. Good to have you here, Castella. I'm on. Actually, I'm on. I forgot to change the server. I am so sorry. I'm on East USA. Let me go ahead and change the server. I'm foolish. East USA. I'm so sorry. Let me. Oh, you're the ITA Airways. That's gonna be pretty good. So let's look at the cockpit here. So this is the cockpit of the 146, and if you notice, there are some unique peculiarities with this cockpit. Um, for one, you see here, a lot of this is steam gauges. Usually, most modern airliners have like electronic or computer screens, but not this one. This is kind of old-fashioned. Hey, team and Nathan. Hey, don't give me a shout or anything. You won't be streaming anymore. Oh, I didn't know about that. I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to get this 146 started. So this is what the cockpit kind of looks like. You go through the door. And we're right here where the cargo should be. So this is where the cargo goes. All of this is cargo. That's all the cargo in the 146. I'm doing well, just trying to readjust the weight. Just trying to readjust the weight so I can find enough fuel. I think that's enough. So, okay, let's get this point started. So, give me some time. Now, I have a document here that will help me with the startup procedure of this thing. So, let's go over each of the steps for the so let's turn on the batteries. Battery 1, 2, on. Once we turn the batteries to on, you can see the gauges going up. Then from here, we're going to turn on the high intensity navigation. Set the no smoking thing to auto, and we arm the captain emergency lights. Once we do those, we're going to go to this left panel here. Now here we want to turn on the yaw damper, 1 and 2 for the master, EP master, avionics, and master on. And then we finally turn on the anti-skid, and then the lift spoilers, which is right here. Then once we got to go to the overhead panel. Now here we need to find the business tie AC, auto, DC. We set them to auto. That should take care of that. Then we do these two. We arm these two next. The standby IMV and generator. And finally then we turn on the APU generator right here. Boom. Generator is on. So we did, okay, that's so far so good. Okay, that's going to be pretty good. Then from here, we need to go to the fuel. Now there's 4 of these pumps. We're going to turn on the left inner pump, actually. So we turn that on. Once we do that on, then we're going to go to the APU, which is all the way up here. See this APU thing right here? We're going to start this. We're going to wait until this marker here reaches green, because that way it will turn on the APU power. So it took me last night to learn. I did a couple tries on my own, but actually starting this is less complicated than starting the 7.3. So once we do that, we're going to wait. So we're going to set our altitude perimeter. We're going to set it to 29,000 feet. Okay, APU power is available. That's awesome. Now we need to lower the flight deck emergency lights. We're going to go ahead and arm them. And then we're going to go back to our center console. So in our center console, we need to turn on the yaw dampers. Okay, they're on. That's perfect. Now we need to go to the left side panels. We need to open the oxygen. So we need to go this way. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna need to open up the oxygen for both the passenger and for the 2 pilots. There you go. That's complete. Next, we're gonna go through the fuel panel. We're gonna do control tank. We're gonna set this to auto, and so we can send it to the wings. Then we do here. We're gonna turn on the ice detect. And then we're going to click on the flip chart. So yes, this thing's got a little flip chart. For those who don't know what a flip chart really is, this here is a flip chart. So it will set us our flaps and takeoffs and all that. So we're 44,000 kilograms. So there is our takeoff and landing stuff, which is really neat info to help us with the landing and such. Okay, with all that taken care of, we go to the next step. We're gonna go ahead and turn on the flight directors, which is right here. Flight director 1 is on. Flight director right here. For both of them, we're gonna turn on this nav thing, which is right here, and we're gonna set this to on. And then we go to the we're gonna go to the pedestal here and turn on this. And during this time, we're going to set up the FMC for this thing. So FMC is right here. So we're going to go ahead and set up our flight plan for today. So we're going to go take off from Istanbul, Ataturk. So Lima Tango Bravo Alpha. And then our destination is Lima India Romeo Foxtrot. We're gonna go here to departure and arrival. So we're gonna take off from runway 23. So runway 23, and our departure I have in my flight plan thing. We're gonna take off from Vade 3B. We're gonna go next. Okay, Vade 3B, perfect, and execute. So now we get down to the route. Now we can go to next. Let's go to the next part of the route. After we get this, we're going to type in our next waypoints. So we're going to go back low, BAKLO. Then we're going to do DOLAP, DOLAP. Now, mind you, what I'm doing is quite basic. I know someone who's really good. Here's someone really good that can actually help you with... Oh, I got that wrong. Nilku. But no, I know someone really good who knows how to work on this. His name is Two Cats, by the way. He's a Tuto Murphy affiliate. But Two Cats is really, really good with the 146. So I think he would be the perfect guy to actually help you with that plane. So Vlog. Belug. Okay, that's good. We can go ahead and execute. And finally, we're going to go type in our arrival. So let's do here. Let's start with IL. We're going to go with we're going to go through Mopu 3E as our 3E. We're going to go with ILS 16 left west. And then we're going to have a transition into Exama. And then we can go ahead and execute. Execute, and let's check the legs. Make sure everything works the way it is. Oh, we have a discontinuity. So we need to get rid of the root discontinuity. So we need to go... Any more? Okay. We have one more. You want to get rid of these continuities. And that's it. That gets rid of all the discontinuities. There you go. Our legs look great. So now that we got our legs set up, now let's go to the next stage of our startup thing. We go to the fuel and we already did the control, we already did that, so now we need to fasten on the seat belts because we're going to get this plane started. We turn on our beacon lights, and that is located up here. So beacon lights on. Then we need to turn on the other pumps right here, right here, right here. And now we're ready to start the engines on this thing. So we're going to turn off. We're going to go turn on the start. And we're going to start each of the engines. And then we're ready to introduce fuel to the lever. Just do this. And we start the engine. There it is. So you should definitely see from right here, see this gauge here? This will determine the engine spool up. So we need to wait till it gets a pretty good number. Let's go outside. Let's go hear this plane. I don't think this... Hold 1 second. Let me go ahead and change something. Weird, is this even working? The audio output? Okay, now it's working. Weird. So we turn on, that's one of the engines. Okay, that sounds good. Next, we're going to go engine number 3, and we're going to start that one. Engine number 3 is going to be started. We're going to go ahead and introduce fuel to this. So we're going to wait till all the numbers get there properly. And then once we do that, after we get those started, we turn on the electric columns for the generators, turn on the packs, and then we just do the brake fans, engine pumps, and turn on the heaters, and then we'll get ready to taxi. So that would be starting the engine cold and dark, guys. I mean, I managed to actually get this thing started. Pretty nice. Engine number 1 is on. Now, there is something else, too, about the Just Flight. Definitely, the thing is, this thing has no auto throttle, so I have to manually control the throttles. So you're on the runway? Nice. Nice, Costello. I'll meet you there soon. I just need to get time to spool up all the engines. Oh, I forgot to actually do this. Yeah, I forgot to turn on the fieldings for the thrust. So, a bit of background information about the Istanbul and Ataturk. This was a closed airport. Currently, it's closed, but this airport opened all the way back as an airfield in 1912. It was used by the Turkish Armed Forces. And this airport was it was founded by, there was a Turkish air company that was founded by Ataturk, who if you don't know, he's the father of modern day Turkey, by the way, one of the most influential Middle Eastern leaders of the modern era. But then it was reconverted into an international airport in 1953, and it was one of the busiest airports of Europe. In fact, as recently as 2015, it was the 11th busiest airport in the country. And in 2017, it was actually the 5th busiest airport in the entire continent. It used to be 3rd. However, it was soon been replaced by the newly constructed Istanbul airport. And that airport is now Europe's busiest airport, by the way. So, okay, now with all the engines started, now that we have all our engines started, let's go ahead and finish the rest of it. So we're going to turn on the 2 generators. And then once we do it, we're going to turn on the 2 packs. Engine air. Then in our engine air, we're going to go ahead and turn on all of the engine airs. They would now be on. Brake fans, which is located in the top left, that will be set to automatic. And then we turn on the engine hydraulic pumps, which is located 2 and 3. Oh, engine 2 and 3 hydraulic pumps. We turn on those, and then we just turn on all the heaters. So basically, engine anti-ice, and hey, we're set to go. Now we just need to go back to our EFB, our electronic flight display, and we're just gonna open that and remove the chocks. Okay, we're ready to taxi. We're gonna go ahead and do our pushback. Let's manual pushback.
Cockpit to ground. This is ground. Stand by.
We're gonna set up our altitude to 29,000 feet while we're waiting. Perfect. Hey, Howitzer and Alpha Whiskey. Good to have you here. Oh, I forgot to change one of my roots thing. And that is, you need to add Dolap after backlow. Let me go ahead and change that.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft. Standing by for pushback.
We're going to go ahead and reverse.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
We are cleared for start and push. Parking brake set.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It's the Just Flight BA-146. So that's what we're flying. Push back. Because I'm doing quite well in chat. Doing well.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking, okay.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Startup is complete. You may disconnect.
Start. Okay.
Roger. Good engine start. Clear it to disconnect. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, we're now going to take off from runway 23. So let me see where I can find the taxiway. Just continue going straight. Set up trim. To follow the taxi. So, if you guys like what I'm seeing, don't be afraid to give me the follow if you haven't. And I also do have a Discord. If you like all this, check out my Discord. Just try not to go too fast through all this. But yeah, this is a really good jetliner. The Just Flight 146 is great. This is actually my first stream with it, so this is pretty nice. We're getting near to the clouds of Istanbul. In fact, one more thing about this airport, the Istanbul Ataturk Airport. It actually just closed just 3 months ago for cargo planes. In 2022. And eventually, this thing is now going to be a park. Okay. Okay, we're going to get ready to prepare for takeoff. So, we're going to go ahead and set flaps. We're going to set flaps. Increase trim. So we're doing pretty good. We already set this up to 29,000 feet. We got everything set up. I think it's time for us to get going. Before we do, we're going to go ahead and turn on the remaining lights. We're going to turn on our wing lights. And our strobe lights. So that's going to be pretty good. And I think we're ready to take off. I got you in Discord. Awesome. Be 7 knots. And we're up. Okay, we're up, guys. We're going to use this to continue the climb. So I'm on Firefly Air now. So we're up, guys. That's awesome. We're finally up in the air. So here it is. We're out of Istanbul. Okay, I think it's time we disable the flap. I think we're pretty much high enough. I'm going to go ahead and lower the trim a little bit. Start picking up a little speed. We're going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot, which is down here. The autopilot's actually down here. Turn that on. Virtual nav. And we're going to go with the indicated airspeed. We're going to actually arm our altitude and our indicated airspeed. So we're now actually going to rise. I don't see you. Hey, Quartz. Good to have you here. Guys, if you haven't checked him out, Quartz, another content creator like me. He does all sorts of things. He flies anything from GA to airliners, or flies all sorts of different planes. So definitely check him out. It's great to see you, man. So yeah, I'm taking the BAE 146 out for flying for today from Istanbul to Rome. This is for the. I don't see it either. I'm on East USA, guys. Are you? I think you guys got stuck on West Europe. We're climbing all the way to 29,000. So here it is, guys. Look at this. We're already off. I think it's just server issues. We had a lot of server stuff going on. That's weird. Do you want me to change servers again? How's the new BAE update? The update's going pretty good. This is my first stream with this port. But yeah, the BAE is nice. It's a very, very nice little jet. Very nice. It's a very nice airliner, and I think this is a perfect airliner. And I actually managed to get this started on my own, actually. I managed with the help of a guide, of course, but I managed to actually get this thing started. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna change to Southeast Asia because I know that's historically been the most reliable. So let me go ahead and update the server command. Let me go. I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and let me change the server. Southeast Asia. Alrighty, guys. So we're just gonna get this this jet into the air. Okay, I can actually see people here in Southeast Asia. Boom. Let's see if we can see some of you guys here. Yeah, this thing sounds incredible for a jet. Incredible sound airline. It truly is. It's the perfect little jetliner for the short flights. I know this is a bit of a long side for something like BAE. But I feel this is more than confident enough to do it. So, let me go ahead and talk about our topic for today, about Rome, actually. But it's not just Rome, we're also talking about the Vatican today. So, we're actually going to talk about the city of Rome for a minute. So, what do you think most people think about Rome? I want to ask you in the chat, what do you guys think of, when you think of Rome, what is the first thing you think about? It's a question I want to ask you all in the chat. So, I mean, you can think of anything. Okay, what I believe is that most of you think of Rome, you think of all the historic monuments to the Roman Empire. Or maybe with all the religious buildings. But Rome is much more than that. Rome is not just an historic capital. Rome is a legendary place in Europe. It was one of the world's great capitals and one of the most historically rich cities on the planet. Rome is the most populous city of Italy, and it's actually the third most is the capital of Italy. It is with 2.8 million residents. It is the third most populous city in the EU within city limits. It's the most populous metropolitan city in Italy. And Rome's history spans 28 centuries since the founding of Rome about 753 BC. This city is known as the Eternal City in the City of Seven Hills as well, and it's often also known as the cradle of Western Christian culture. After all, Rome's home within Rome's limits is the Vatican City, which is the center of the Catholic Church. In fact, Rome's been around for 3 millennia and is one of the oldest continuously occupied cities in Europe. As a result, Rome is the world's 14th most visited city on the planet with 8.6 million tourists, the third most visited in the entire EU, and the most popular tourist destination in Italy. The historic center of Rome is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was the host city of the 1960 Olympics, and is home to several agencies of the UN, including the Food and Agriculture Administration, World Food Program, and International Fund of Agricultural Development. So that is about Rome as well. Sophia Loren, hey paparazzi. Yeah, that's a good one. So Rome has a very long history. Rome's history, I mean, it took me a lot of slides to get this one. But trust me, Rome's history is extremely deep. Now, people have actually been occupying this area for around 14,000 years, but you can find Stone Age weapons and stuff all the way back to 10,000 years ago. That was because they did some excavation around the area, and they found old Bronze Age and Stone Age weapons and stuff. As well. But one of the things that definitely makes Rome unique was its, but there was consensus that the city grew from all the aggregation of the villages around the city, a place about the Palatine, which is where it is. And basically the Palatine, I believe, is actually Palatine Hill, which is one of the 7 hills of Rome. And this was where the future Roman Forum was built during that time. So then there's also but there has been some traditional stories about how Rome was founded, but by far the most familiar myth and the most famous is the story of Romulus and Remus. Basically, they were the twins suckled by a she-wolf. And the story of this legend is when they actually decided to build a city, but after an argument, Romulus actually killed his brother and the city took his name. And it occurred on April 21st, 753 BC. So that's how modern Rome got founded by legends and myths. So we have the picture here of the she-wolf with Romulus and Remus. This is a picture for it. And then after the founding of Rome by Romulus, according to legend, Rome was actually ruled for a period of 244 years by a monarchy, funnily enough, with sovereigns of both Latin and Sabine origin, and later by the Etruscans. And by the way, the Latins is what the inhabitants of Rome were. They were Latins. The tradition was handed down 7 different kings. The first king is Romulus. Then there's Numa Pompilius, Tullius Hostilius, Ancius Marius, Tarquinius Priscus, Servius Tullius, the legendary 6th king of Rome, and Lucius Tarquinius Superbus. So those are the 7 kings that were there. In 509 BC, the Romans expelled the last king from their city, and they established their own republic, the Republic of Rome, the Roman Republic, basically. And during that time, Rome had a lot of internal struggles between the aristocrats, known as the patricians, and the plebeians, which are the landowners, and also by constant warfare against the populations of central Italy, the Etruscans, Latins, the Volsci, Aliquate, and the Marsi. All these wars would basically happen and take place all over Rome. As well, after they became the master of Latium, which is Western Rome, they led several major wars, including the Gauls, which is where modern-day France is, the Greek colony of Torino, and that led them to the conquest of the entire Italian peninsula, right up to the Magna Graecia in Sicily. The 3rd and 2nd century BC saw the establishment of Roman hegemony over the Mediterranean Balkans through the Punic Wars, including the famous Second Punic War with Hannibal. And if you've ever been with Murph, they did a whole flight series based on Hannibal, and I really recommend you checking that out. But they led to the 3 Punic Wars, and the story about the 3rd one, how that all ended. Basically, they famously salted the ground where Carthage was at, and it led to Carthage being basically ceasing to be a power anymore. And then from the 2nd century BC, it was again powered by 2 groups of aristocrats, the Optimates and the Populares, basically the conservatives and the urban lower class, and combined that with a lot of the issues with bankruptcy. It led to an establishment of a professional army, which tried to be more loyal to the generals and the republics, and that led to a lot of the issues, both externally and internally. And that led to a lot of issues as well. There were attempts at social reform, but they failed. And following a major revolt under Spartacus, and this established the first triumvirate, the former alliance between 3 famous Roman politicians: Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. And this triumvirate basically made Rome very powerful. It made Caesar very popular after he conquered Gaul, and it led to another civil war between the Senate and Pompey. And following his victory, Caesar became a dictator for life. And basically, he became technically the first Roman emperor, basically, until he was assassinated. Until he was assassinated by Brutus and all that. And basically, that came from a very famous play, Et tu, Brute. But his assassination was definitely very well known. And that was at 44 BC. And that led to the rise of the second triumvirate, which included Octavian, his grandnephew, Mark Antony, who we know Antony was mostly well known for his affair with Cleopatra, and finally Lepidus. And again, that led to another civil war, which was won by Octavian, his grandnephew. And thanks to Octavian's victory, he became Princeps Civitas, which means the first man, and he took the title of Augustus. And he founded the Principate, which is the period of the Roman Empire between the Principates and the Senate. And he led Rome to become a major power under Augustus, one of the greatest leaders in human history. And his reign launched an era of peace known as the Pax Romana, which lasted 200 years, and made Rome a superpower, by the way. During the reign of Nero, there was a fire that happened in Rome after the Great Fire of Rome, and they were persecuting a lot of the Christians during this time. And Rome was then established as a de facto empire, reaching its greatest expansion in the 2nd century under Trajan. And basically, the Roman Empire was huge, by the way. If you've never seen the greatest extent of the Roman Empire, it had territory from as far south as to the Nile, far north as Britannia, east as into modern-day Iraq and Iran, and as west as to Iberia. It's huge. That empire is huge. After the end of the Severan dynasty in 235, the empire entered a 50-year period known as the crisis of the 3rd century, as there were numerous pushes and all this stuff from all the generals. And as a result, it led to a lot of the weaknesses within the empire, with all the revolts from the Gauls and the Persians. And also the Germanic tribes continued to move in as well. That was another thing too of contention, was the Germanic tribes moving in, and that led to a lot of the conflicts with the Germanic tribes. Though eventually, there was some attempt for reform by Diocletian, and he restored the state and introduced the Tetrarchy, which increased state power. After the abdication of Diocletian and Maximilian, a series of civil wars happened during the years 306 to 313, with the Tetrarchy being abandoned. It didn't take all the way to the establishment of Constantine the Great. He reformed the bureaucracy and changed the structure, and increasing the competency of the several ministries. Constantine was also known for ending the granting freedom of worship to everyone, including the Christians, and he founded the building of several different churches and such. But more importantly, Constantine the Great transformed the town of Byzantium into his new residence, and that Byzantium referred to Constantinople, which was the imperial capital we just took off from today. But pretty cool stuff. And eventually Constantinople gained more power than Rome did. And after a couple decades, Rome lost a lot of its central role thanks to Constantinople. It was sacked in 410, led by the Visigoths by Alaric I. And while there was little physical damage, the artwork, precious metals, and food were taken, and that led to Rome's population declining from 800,000 to 450,000 people in 455. Combine that fact that there were weak emperors, It led to the disposition of Romulus Augustus, which marked the end of the Western Roman Empire on August 22nd, 476, which ended the Roman Empire and led to the beginning of the Middle Ages. And then Rome was first under control of Odoacer, became part of the Ostrogothic kingdom, before returning back to the East Romans, led by Justinian in the 550s. Then the Lombards invaded there during the 1569 to 1572. It remained Byzantine, but in reality, it was actually controlled by the popes, as the Vatican City took a lot of control between the Byzantines, Franks, and Lombards. And thus, in 1756, Pepin the Short, the king of the Franks, defeated the Lombards and gave the Pope jurisdiction over the city, and they created the Papal States. And it was under the direct rule of the Pope until 1870. As well. Charlemagne was crowned in Rome in 800, and in 846, Muslim Arabs actually attempted to storm the city walls, but they failed. But they did loot St. Peter and St. Paul's Basilica. And after the decay of the Carolingian power, which includes Charlemagne, Rome fell to feudal chaos as several noble families fought against the Pope, Emperor, and each other, and led to Rome being absolute chaos. And those scandals forced the papacy to reform itself, and so as a result, the election of the Pope was now reserved to the cardinals. So, pretty interesting stuff. Hey, good to have you, Airlock. How's Captain Research today? Did you say some note ask Two-Tone for her notes? No, I've done these notes myself, Airlock. I'm discussing about the history of Rome. Probably should reduce the power. I'm probably going to reduce power a bit. I mean, we're getting pretty as well. So during this period, however, in the Middle Ages, he often was very important to keep it secular, and then the popes often acting as arbitrators between the Christian monarchs and exercising additional political power. So the Pope actually played a role as an arbitrator, which is kind of interesting, but it just shows you how much power the popes actually had back then. They had a lot of power, especially compared to today. Pope Boniface the Eighth, born in Cuisine, was the last pope to fight for the Church's universal domain, as he proclaimed a crusade against the Colonna family. And in 1300, he called for the first Jubilee of Christianity, which brought millions of pilgrims to Rome. However, they were crushed by the French king Philip IV, Philip the Fair, which took him prisoner and killed him in Agni. And afterwards, they created a new pope that was faithful to the French as well. And eventually the pope did return back to Rome. But that was not until much later, until Cola di Rienzo came to power. And he helped rebuild the Roman heritage, and that led to reclaim the church's power in Italy. And that eventually led us to the Renaissance era in the 1480s. Once the Council of Constance settled the Western Schism in Europe, the Papa Schism, this led Rome to a stability of eternal peace, and it marked the beginning of the Renaissance period. In fact, Rome was second in terms of the Renaissance compared to Florence. You had some amazing works and artistry. The St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, with artists like Michelangelo, Raphael, Cosimo Rosselli, and Perugino. All these amazing Renaissance painters and all that create some of the great cultural landmarks here at Rome. But this was also infamous for a lot of the corruption for the popes, including popes fathering children and engaging in nepotism and simony. In fact, those corruptions actually was what led to the Reformation. and the Counter-Reformation during that time, and it led to a lot of the European conflicts within the 15th, 16th century. Was because they had to pay for all the building projects. It also changed the face of Rome dramatically. And the Renaissance era led Rome to be one of the greatest centers of art on the planet. And then, as well, it also began with the Council of Trent in 1545. The church began the Counter-Reformation as response to the Reformation by Martin Luther back in 1526, all the way back in Germany. And there was a large-scale questioning of the, and basically what the Reformation was, it was a large-scale questioning of the authority of the church on spiritual matter and government affairs, and it led to major shifts of power away from the church. Under Popes Pius VI and Sixtus V, Rome became the center of a Reformed Catholic Church and built new monuments to celebrate the Pope. And eventually the popes of the 17th and early 18th centuries continued the movement by having the city landscape change. However, the rule of the popes won't last forever, however, because the Roman Republic happened between 1798 and 1800, which was established under the French Revolution. Eventually, the papal states were restored in 1800, became part of the Roman Empire. Then the papal states were reconstituted by the Congress of Vienna in 1814. Then there was a second Roman Republic that happened during the revolutions of 1848. But really the big deal about Rome was the reunification of Italy. It was the main goal of it. And the one to unify Italy back in that time was the Kingdom of Sardinia Piedmont. And they had to wage war against Austria and French. And Rome became under control in 1870. Thanks to France withdrawing their troops due to the war with Prussia. And as a result, this led to the question of the Roman question, which I'll explain more for the Vatican's history. As well. And then, and the capital of Italy was then moved to Rome. After World War I, Rome witnessed the rise of a dictator known as Benito Mussolini, the rise of Italian fascism. And he led his march to the city, and that led to Italy doing away with their democracy and reestablishing a new Italian empire. And he even aligned with the Germans in 1938, which ended up actually probably hurting quite a bit of Italy. And as a result, Mussolini actually destroyed large parts of the city center to build the new avenues and squares, which, according to him, was what celebrated the fascist regime in Italy. This interwar period saw rapid growth to the population, which soon surpassed over 1 million people in 1930. During World War II, thankfully, unlike other cities like Berlin, Dresden, and Hamburg, compared to those, Rome was actually relatively escaped the bombings that devastated a lot of the other cities. However, the San Lorenzo district was bombed by the Allies. Eventually, when Mussolini was arrested in the Italian armistice, the Germans occupied the city, and eventually it was liberated on June 4th, 1944. After the war, Rome developed greatly as part of the Italian economic miracle in the 1950s and 60s, and it led to Rome being known as a fashionable city, being a major film site for many iconic films. And it continues still to this day as Rome quickly becomes one of the world's great cities. So guys, that is part one of our history about Rome. I hope you guys actually enjoyed that. Let's see who's flying with us today. We see a few people. Alpha Whiskey, Copper Stick, in Switzerland. Castella's with us today. Great to have you all guys here today. Hello. It's great to have you guys here, guys. So, we're doing well. So we're actually currently flying in Bulgaria right now. It is great to have you guys here. I really appreciate you guys showing up. I hope you guys like this section. This was actually the longest section I'm talking about. But that was me explaining Rome's history. Rome has so much history that it's not funny how much history. Hey, Dougal Matavich! Dougal, it's good to have you here too. I forgot to check on you. Sorry about not reading the chat. I mean, there's so much about Rome I have to cover. But it's great to have all you guys here. Let me play some music for you. I mean, if we're flying to Rome, we're going to play classical music. Because Rome is a massive music center, too. So just wanted to... Nice story. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's Rome. So, basically, for all you guys here in the chat, the reason we're taking the airliner to Rome for today is the Rome trip is going to be 2 weeks. Because originally I was attempting to do this in 1 week, but Ferdal told me to do it 2 weeks, and looking at it, I realized it probably would be the best to split this up for 2 weeks. You lived in Rome for 14 years. Wow. I would love to see all the Roman landmarks in real life. That would be such a great thing to see. Just incredible. I really like this jet. I really like flying this thing. It's just such a nice jet to fly. Yes, you have to keep track of your throttle, but I mean... But it's not bad at all. So, actually, I want to ask you guys a question. Have any of you seen the new Top Gun movie? The new Top Gun Maverick? Because I did. I watched that Top Gun Maverick, and let me tell you, that movie is incredible. New Top Gun is awesome. Oh, I forgot to do something else, too. What did I forget? No. Yep, you're Italian and Swiss. You're born in Russia. Really? That's a very interesting thing. If not for Rome, we may not have plumbing. Yes, Rome, the Romans. Romans were way ahead of their time back in the old days. I mean, Romans have made so many innovations that still affect our world today, with the plumbing, aqueducts, roads. All roads lead to Rome. You have spectacles like the Colosseum. There's also lots of food and culinary stuff that's still carried on from Rome. Architecture, art. I mean, Rome is, its influence is colossal. Even today, it's still huge. It's crazy. Fast food, yes, actually, there have been lots of archaeology stuff, and there's still stuff about archaeology we still haven't even known about. It's pretty crazy about this. So yeah, it's pretty much crazy if you ask me. So, I hope you guys don't mind, I do have a Discord as well. Yeah, even our calendar. Yes, our calendar. The Romans, I mean, there's just so many Roman things about Rome. So, it's just great that we actually get to talk about that. So that's just one part about Rome. Once we reach Dolab, I'm going to talk about the next section of Rome. Once we do it, I'm just going to take a break to let my voice calm down a little bit. But I guess we can do it as well. So I'm just glad to see all you guys here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's a beautiful flight to Rome. And the scenery here in Bulgaria is really nice. Yes, Bulgaria was also part of the Roman Empire too. So actually, most of the areas we're going to fly here were part of the Roman Empire. It's including Bulgaria, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Croatia. Those are all Roman Empire territories, which makes this fight even pretty cool. I'm just giving you guys a bit of a break, so that way you guys can calm down and not take this information overload. Actually, I have an idea, guys. Let me go ahead and back. File. Actually, if you guys want me to, I can upload my CH4 stuff. I have my slides, so if you want me to, I can upload them for I'll convert them to PDFs, and you guys can look at it. So that's pretty crazy. All right, I think I'm ready to talk about the next section of things, if you guys don't mind. So let's talk about the next thing Rome is very well famous for. Well, geographically, Rome's geography is definitely pretty famous too. I mean, there's a reason why Rome's called the City of Seven Hills. Because there's 7 different hills. This includes Aventine Hill, Caelian Hill, Capitoline Hill, Esquiline Hill, the Palatine Hill, which is the centermost and is one of the most ancient parts of the city, the Quirinal Hill, and the Vinci Hill, which is the smallest of the famous 7. Also, in addition, Rome is located on the Tiber River, or the Tevere River, which is Italy's 3rd longest river. And that river has been a major part, and that's what led to Rome. And the interesting thing about the Tiber is where executed criminals were often thrown into the river. So the city is about 15 miles inland from the Tyrrhenian Sea, which is the sea off the western coast of Italy. It's around, the lowest parts of Rome go from 43 feet above sea level to 456 feet above Monte Mario. And basically the urban limits of the city were historically kept by the city walls. Mainly, they consisted of the Servian Wall, which was the ancient Roman defense barrier. But then the Roman city continued to be expanded beyond the wall, and no new walls were constructed until 700 years later with the Aurelian Wall. So there's that, and then we also talk about the climate of it. So Rome is, well, part of the Mediterranean, obviously, so the climate of it matches the other seas of the Mediterranean, with hot, dry summers and mild, humid winters. The average temperature during the day is around 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 48 degrees at night. And at the coolest month, which is January, it's 54 degrees during the day and 35 degrees at night. While the warmest month, it's around 89 degrees and 63, respectively. You can have snowfall here in Rome, but it is rare. With usually it's either light snow or flurries of some of the winters. So that is a bit about Rome's climate. Let's go ahead and talk about Rome's religion. So religion plays a huge thing about Rome. After all, Rome is not only Christian, but located in there is the Vatican City. And yes, I'll be talking about the Vatican's own thing. But yeah, by far the biggest religion in Rome is Roman Catholicism. I mean, it makes sense considering Rome is the main area of Roman Catholicism. Now, before the Christians made their way to Europe, it was actually founded by the Religio Romana, the Roman religion. And that was the first major religion in the city during the classic antiquity gods. And the first gods held sacred to the Romans were including Jupiter, Mars, the god of war, and the father of Rome's two founders, Romulus and Remus, according to traditions. Other deities include Vesta and Minerva, were also honored as well. And basically, that one, in fact, there's a lot of similarities between the Roman gods and the Greek gods. And that was because Rome during that time was influenced by the Greeks. So there is that too. Then after this as well, in fact, Rome also has the base of many cults, including a religion called Mithraism, which was inspired by the Iranian Zoroastrian faith as well. And then later, Christianity arrived and it quickly took over during the 4th century. Christianity was on the rise and it continues to be the main religion to this day. After all, Rome has for centuries been the home of the Roman Catholic Church. Despite the fact that Rome is home to the Vatican, the main cathedral of Rome is actually the Archbasilica of St. John Lutheran, which is the main cathedral here in Rome, and there are over 900 different churches here in Rome. There's also lots of different religious educational institutions in the country, and of course, Rome is also home to its own Jewish community too. Well, because Judaism has got an impact too. So, not Boot Hill. Catholics get the gish of Fish Friday. Yep, that's one of the things about the Roman traditions. That was Fish Fridays because of Lent. A lot of it has to do with Lent and all that, which is why it had to be that case. So after this, there is one more section. There is another thing. Let's talk about architecture, because Rome, is famous for its architecture. Because the thing about Rome is there's so many different eras of Roman architecture. Because Rome's been around for 20 centuries, you're going to have some extremely diverse sets of architecture, from the classical imperial Roman styles to the modern styles. Rome's diverse in its monuments. So the first thing is going to be the ancient architecture here in Rome. This was built back during the Roman Empire period, but by far one of the most symbols of Rome itself is the Colosseum, the largest amphitheater ever built in the empire. Now we're going to visit more of that one when we do the second week of the city tour, and I'll discuss more about the history of the Colosseum. But this one can seat up to 60,000 people, which, if you put this by modern European standards, it would be around the top 65 largest stadiums in all of Europe, which is extremely impressive considering this was built back without modern construction techniques and all that. It's pretty crazy, and that one was used for gladiatorial combat, mainly. In addition, there were other iconic monuments to the ancient Roman times. The Roman Forum, the Pantheon, yes, the Roman Pantheon, not the one in Athens, and Trajan's Market are some of the most famous and iconic. There's tons of monuments here, but the ones I'm mentioning the most, Arch of Constantine as well, the Catacombs, Circus Maximus. These are all the iconic landmarks and sites here you can find in Rome. I'll be discussing those in week number 2 as well. And then after we get to the classic architecture, we're going to go to the medieval era of Rome. So in the medieval period, there's the popular cores of the city around the capital. Now, those were mainly demolished at the end of the 19th century in the Fascist period, but they were still home to many iconic buildings, including 2 particular ones, the Basilica of St. Mary Major and St. Paul outside the walls, or the Public Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls, which was rebuilt in the 19th century, housing precious 4th century AD mosaics during that time. There's also quite a few other churches, including Santa Maria and Trastevere, which is one of the oldest churches in Rome. So we find that one. I thought it was about making people buy fish to help the economy. I know the popular thing is staying from warm meat, but I guess it was economy driven. Maybe. I bet that was one of the other things as well. As well. And then after the medieval architecture, we're going to be talking about the Renaissance and Baroque era. You see, Rome, like I said earlier, Rome was the major world center of the Renaissance, second only to Florence. And there's a lot of Roman architecture, but the most famous, though, is the Piazza di Campidoglio, and that was designed by none other than Michelangelo. And during this period, there was a lot of opulent dwellings, including the Palazzo di Coronel, which is where the seat of the Italian Republic was built with the President of Italy. And then there's also many of the famous city squares, which has a lot of obelisks and stuff as well. So you have many different iconic opulent stuff as well here from the Roman Empire days. Like I said, it's not easy keeping up the speed. So, and then we get to go, then we have the Neoclassic Architecture, because the Neoclassic era happened when the Kingdom of Italy took over Rome. And this one was inspired by the architecture of antiquity, of ancient Rome. As a result, there was a lot of great palaces, ministries, and government agencies were built, but the most famous and best known is the monument to Victorio Emmanuel II, or Altar of the Fatherland. And this was where the grave of the unknown soldier is located, right here in that monument. So, the picture on the right is that famed monument, Altar of the Fatherland, right here. And the last piece I'm talking about here is the Fascist architecture of Rome, which included stuff built during the rule of Mussolini, of new roads and plazas. And the bad news about this is that it destroyed a lot of the older roads, houses, churches, and palaces, unfortunately. Now, architecturally, the Italian fascists want a more modern movements like that, and as a result, new modern buildings were built. And one of the most famous sites from the fascist period is the Eur District, which is the residential and business district of Rome, designed in 1938. Now, this building, and this was actually one of the buildings here, which is the Palazzo di Stiviglia Italiana, or the Coliseo Quadrato, basically. That was one of the main buildings that still remain after that district. So that completes the architecture stuff, because that's something I wanted to let you guys know about Rome, is its architecture. So let's go ahead and replay some music. Let's play a new song. Let's get back to the fight, shall we? So we have Cockpit, Alpha Whiskey, in Switzerland, and Castella. Great to have you guys in the air with me. So I know popular thing is abstain from more meat, but some say it was economy. But actually, the whole reason we have Fish Fridays is because of fasting. That's because the Catholic Church wanted to fast to honor his sacrifice. And that was the main reason, is for fasting purposes. And since they don't want to eat more meat, it's Lent, basically. beautiful it is today. So here's our aircraft controls. Got our co-pilot here. So we're flying through quite a few interesting mountains and hills. Just trying to control this throttle to make sure that does not catch with this. So try to keep control of the throttles. So according to our trip, we're about 540 nautical miles out from our destination. I know this seems like a pretty long flight, but I mean, I want to enjoy this flight to Rome. I mean, imagine flying from one Rome to another. So I want to ask you guys, all in the chat, I want to ask you guys in chat, I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. I loved watching the new Top Gun movie. Top Gun Maverick was incredible. An amazing film. Tom Cruise was just good as always. And I also got this here. It's the collector's pin from the movie theater, which shows Maverick, the main character. Oh, and guys, by the way, if you go actually to my video, there is something called a sound alert. I actually managed to get some of them up. So if you guys check out my profile page down below, I added something new. I added sound alerts. So click one of them and let's see if the alerts work. Good to see it. Yeah, that's awesome. Good to have you here. Yeah, that one is from Sonic the Hedgehog. Now that's a game I played a lot as a kid. I love the Sonic series, so that's pretty awesome. I got quite a few of them on my sax page. I have the Top Gun anthem. Got the romantic sax. I got the autopilot stuff. Medic, fighter jets. I got all sorts of different ones from different things, from baseball to movie quotes. Good to have you here, Tiki. Good to have you here. Appreciate you coming by. So yeah, we got all sorts of different sound alerts. Some pretty cool stuff. I'm glad that everyone's here. Now we're getting to be a bit more of the foggy area. We're getting to be in more foggy conditions. Look at our map. So now we left Bulgaria. We're going to go cross, and now we're crossing the border into Serbia. Hey, Diggy, just come home from the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Oh, you actually watched the Nürburgring race? Oh, that's cool. From watching it, I'm doing great. I took this is my first stream in the BAE 146. I took off a long while ago from Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople, and we're flying that to Rome. This is part one of my city tour of Rome. And I had to split this up for 2 weeks. I live there. Oh, you live there? Oh, that's awesome. You can live near the Nürburgring. That's so cool. I want to visit Nürburgring in real life. Only 10-minute walk. That's awesome. But yeah, I managed to, we're flying it to Rome, which is located here. I'm currently doing stuff for Firefly Air right now. Well, this flight isn't for Firefly Air normally. It's to deliver the ultralight to Rome. So currently on Firefly Air, you click the link here, it'll take you straight to Firefly Air. You can work for our virtual airline. Currently, right now, we are one of the largest airliners at FS Hub. Around 147 people. We're at 448 right now. We've flown over 2,300 flights, around 631,000 nautical miles, and 2,147 hours of flights. I mean, it's just incredible. You live near the Colosseum. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, don't worry, Castell. We're gonna fly over the Colosseum. Pretty awesome. Oh, in 1547, King Edward IV made Fish Friday laws with the fishermen. Eating fish for Flint was relaxing fire. Ah, got it. That makes sense then. I'm not really Catholic, so I really don't know. I'm not Catholic. That's awesome. So we have here flying today, Davey. We have Cockpit, Castella, and Alpha Whiskey are flying with me today. Oh yeah, and guess what? I got to manage to start the 146 on my own. I did have a guide to help me out with it, but hey, I actually got the thing started. It was actually somewhat simple to start. Pretty cool stuff, so we get to actually fly around the scenery of Serbia for a little bit. Pretty incredible stuff. So currently I'm right now a senior captain of the Firefly Air, as its most experienced captain. I currently did 202 total flights. I've done 171 flight hours, flew for 53,010 nautical miles for the airline. And I've currently visited 123 different countries right now. I still have 118 left to explore. Pretty crazy stuff. I probably fall asleep soon. I have been partying mostly awake since last Wednesday. I hope you get some plenty of sleep, Dakey. I hope you definitely get some much earned sleep. Oh yeah, I know he hasn't been streaming for a while, but I'm gonna give Dakey a shout out because he makes some really great streams. They're really chill, very relaxed guy. He did the Zara Rutherford Around the World journey. He followed right behind Zara, and he made everything match what she has gone through. I know you haven't been streaming for a while, but I'll definitely catch on the next stream you go today. That would be a guarantee. Now, now to be honest, I really think one of the most underappreciated regions in Europe to fly in the sim is the Balkans, basically. Like Greece, Albania, North Macedonia, Kosovo, Serbia, Montenegro, and Bosnia and Croatia, and Slovenia. Those are all great places to fly in Europe. Got lots of between beaches, mountains, rivers. The Balkans region has got so many little areas you can fly around. Hope to be back ASAP. Yep. I hope so too. So, let me go talk about some other stuff too. Let's talk about some MSFS add-on news. So, a couple major things is going on. Obviously, we have the update for the 146. Another thing that just came out recently, but apparently they're working on the PNGG 737 updates coming out soon. It's not finished, but it's coming soon. Then Just Flight is coming out with the P-838 Tomahawk from Piper. The P-838 Tomahawk apparently from Just Flight. So that's another Piper bringing into the sim. But I'm definitely hoping it's really good. I mean, I love the arrows, and I love this Just Flight. I love the 146. So it'll be another great addition to the sim, especially for GA. And then in the marketplace, well, how about something else that's really anticipated to come in the marketplace? How about the FS Reborn Sting? Now, that plane is really interesting. The Sting, that thing is really cool. For 25 bucks, you get a couple of liveries for it, but you also gain some extreme functionality with it. You actually have a parachute system, which is cool. It has its own onboard parachute, and they actually rework the physics that breaks out of the cabin, and it has the parachute. It also you can also repair like your propeller or your landing gear, flat tires. The depth that plane has, I mean, I probably should get the Sting and test that out. Yeah, I'm definitely getting my hands on the Sting. I think it's a great plane. And for 25, I think that's great value for what you get. Absolutely, the Sting would be amazing to get. And then, of course, in a couple of days, on the 31st, I believe, is going to be the Honda Jet. And I saw Murph show that off. I mean, that Honda Jet is really cool. It looks to be a great business jet, and I mean, the price, around $25, that's a steal for the Honda Jet. So yeah, and it's actually great that these two planes are coming to Marketplace. I know it seems weird to put them on Marketplace, but it's great for accessibility. And apparently it's also coming to Xbox, which is just even better. It's great that we're getting some of these planes on Xbox too, which, I mean, is a huge benefit. I mean, it's good to see that Xbox is finally getting good planes now. I expect those to be very popular. Yeah, it's in Marketplace. I'm just saving my money for a bit because I just bought two pretty expensive add-ons. I'm gonna wait and save my money. And man, I still haven't even gotten the Bowen's 247. I mean, as a fan of Bowen's, I don't know why I haven't gotten the 247 yet. I just don't know why. The Sting, hey, friends all, my good friends all, good to see you. The Sting is the best way to enjoy plane ownership in a realistic way. Yes, yes, that's a fantastic thing. Absolutely, friends all. Completely agree with you. I mean, this month has just been crazy with add-ons. I mean, what an insane month. I mean, in May we had the Just Flight 146, the PVG 737, Phoenix A320. Then we get the Sting. The Sting. We now get and we get the Honda Jet. That's insane. I mean, especially the airliners and the business jets really needed those add-ons. But yeah, good to have you here, friends all. I just took off from Istanbul, and we're currently in Serbia right now. We're heading into, we're going to cross the border a little bit through Montenegro and Bosnia. We're heading our way to Rome. This is part 1 of the Sea Tour of Rome. And it turns out I'm kind of glad that I actually listened to your advice and do it 2 weeks. Now I don't have to worry about doing this. And I guess for cities like New York or LA or other cities like that, I think this should be the new format. That way I don't have to struggle nearly as much with finding all the landmarks. So yeah, so this is all the guys flying with this Cockpit stick, Switzerland, and Alpha Whiskey. So that's all that's with us today. So I'm glad everyone's having a good day so far. So I'm really impressed with all you guys. Thank you so much. Also, friend all, I have several new sound alerts too. I got a few of them. Dinky was showing off this earlier. So you guys can actually play, if you go to my profile, A Roman Holiday, classic movie of Gregory Peck, and yeah, that's, many of the iconic movies were shot in Rome, and actually, speaking of it, only had funds for the 146, but the Sting is the Sting's going to be a good addition for GA. I haven't bought me a GA plane in a while. I mean, I still need to get the 247 because I'm a Boeing nut. I love Boeings. But yeah, the Sting would be great. I mean, another small little GA plane would be great. And of course, I'm also thinking about getting the Honda Jet because, I mean, my family's owned Hondas for almost 2 decades now. Owned basically Hondas. So it'd be a very familiar thing for me. And of course, I still haven't got the Cessna 310 because, like I said, I don't have a lot of money and I don't really have it. So I'm trying to be careful what I spend. But yeah, but yeah, there's so many good add-ons. I don't know what to do with my money. Sorry. So, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the last couple of sections about Rome, if you guys don't mind. I know this sounds boring, but I mean, it is Rome, and I want to talk about it. So, Rome's economy, I mean, is pretty important. It's home to a lot of the principal institutions of the nation, being Rome's capital, of course. It's one of the world's global cities, 32nd in the world, the highest in Italy, home to many different institutions like government, parliament, courts, and diplomatic residence are here in Rome. And even though it doesn't have much of heavy industry, it's largely dominated by a lot of the services, particularly tourism, High technology companies like aerospace, defense, telecommunications, research, construction, and commercial activities are pretty big deals in Rome's economy. There's also lots of universities, and of course, the music industry is extremely important. I mean, Rome is the hub of Italy, which I'll explain later. Rome has very deep culture. The culture of Rome is extremely deep, and there's multiple parts about Rome's culture in the modern day. For example, let's talk about entertainment and performing arts, because music has been a very important part of Rome for centuries. Many prestigious music conservatories and theaters are here in Rome, including the Accademia Nazionale di Santa Cecilia, which is one of the oldest music institutions on the planet, founded in 1585, have been built here. And of course, there's lots of new concert halls, the most recent being the Parco della Musica, one of the world's largest music venues on the planet. It's also home to the Teatro dell'Opera di Roma, which is an opera house as well. And of course, in terms of music history, Rome has such a large part of history. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the Roman school was founded for church music. And a lot of these composers have direct connection to the Vatican and the Papal Chapel as well. And it led to a lot of famous musicians. And by far the most famous of those is Giovanni Pierluigi di Palestrina. And his music has been known for 400 years of smooth, clear, polyphonic perfection as well. And his music was truly great as well. Between 1960 and 70, it became the new Hollywood. And as a result, lots of new actors and directors worked there and transformed into a glamour place. And you can meet lots of famous people here in Rome. But also, in addition, tourism's a huge deal here too, because, I mean, come on, when you have all the historical stuff and archaeological treasures and arts and traditions, yeah, Rome is a major tourist destination. Of course, the most significant is a lot of its museums, particularly the Vatican Museums in the Vatican, the Musei Capitolini, which is the Capitoline Museums, and the Galleria Borghese, all dedicated to beautiful arts. And of course, there's lots of monuments and ancient historical stuff like aqueducts, palaces, and the ruins of the Roman Forum and catacombs. Rome is the third most visited city in the EU after London and Paris, and they receive an average of 7 to 10 million tourists a year. And on holy years, it doubles. And of course, Rome is a major archaeological hub and of archaeological research, and they found lots of ancient sites, the Roman Forum, Trajan Market, and the Pantheon. But of course, the Colosseum is the most famous, and it's a wonder of the world, one of the world's great wonders. So Rome is very rich in tourism. And then we get to cuisine, too. As Rome's cuisine is very deep. And it goes all the way back to the ancient age. A lot of the ancient Roman cuisine is influenced by the Greeks. And as the empire expanded, it opened up a lot of new cooking habits and techniques during this time. During the Renaissance, Rome became a well-known figure of high cuisine, and some of the best chefs in the world were in Rome, working for the popes. In particular, one of them was Bartolomeo Scapi, and he achieved fame in 1570 when his cookbook Opera dell'arte di Cucinare was published. It contained 1,000 recipes of Renaissance cuisine. In addition, there was also the Testaccio, Rome's trained slaughterhouse area, was inhabited by butchers during this time. In the modern age, the city developed its own type of cuisine based on the products of nearby Campagna, as lamb and vegetables were quite common. But Roman cuisine is deep. You can go all the way back to the ancient Roman days too, as Rome's history is extremely deep. But the modern cuisine contains various examples, including saltamonte baga alla romana, veal cutlets, Carnefici alla Romana, which is artichokes but done in Roman style. And spaghetti alla carbonara, which is spaghetti with bacon, eggs, and pecorino. So all sorts of different stuff for cuisine. We're into all. Rome is a nightmare to drive through. Yes, Rome's a nightmare to drive through. Absolutely, Rome's a nightmare. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the stuff for the Romans was built back in the old days where they didn't have roads. Right, I got knocked out. No injuries, hope. Only the bike. Oh, got off your motorcycle bike twice. Thankfully, no injuries. Thank goodness. Thanks to the Pope's influence, perhaps. Yeah, maybe the Pope had a hand in that too. And then we got to talk about cinema because, I mean, come on, Rome's hosted one of the world's largest film studios. Cinecittà Studios, the largest film and production facility in continental Europe, in the center of all Italian cinema. And this is where many of today's biggest box office hits were filmed. Now, this complex is around 99 acres, and it's 5.6 miles from the center of Rome, and is one of the biggest production communities in the world, second only to Hollywood, with over 5,000 professionals, from costume makers to visual effects specialists and more. And believe it or not, there have been more than 3,000 productions made for this lot. And from recent features, including ones from The Passion of Christ, The Gangs of New York, HBO's Rome TV series, and the movie Life Aquatic in 2004, to cinema classics, including Ben-Hur from 1959, Cleopatra, and of course, the films of none other than Federico Fellini, one of the greatest cinema directors of all time, produced many iconic films as well. And his greatest film is 8½, one of the greatest film of all time, ranked 10 in terms of it. But basically, he was one of the world's great directors as well. In addition to this as well, and believe it or not, this film studio was founded in 1937 by Mussolini himself. Now, obviously, the studio was bombed by the Allies during the Second World War, and during the 50s, it was used for several large American productions. And still today, it is the only studio in the world with pre-production, production, and full post-production facilities on one lot, which made it really cool. And of course, language, I mean, ancient Rome was actually quite multilingual back in the old days, even though most people associate today with Latin as well. In terms of sports, association football is the most popular sport here in Rome, as in the rest of Italy, as Italy is big on football. It's hosted games of the 1934 and 1990 World Cup, which took place in Stadio Olimpico, which is where SS Lazio and AS Roma play it. And footballers who play for these teams tend to become extremely popular, in case of Francesco Totti. Rome itself also hosted the 1960 Summer Olympics with great success, using many of the ancient sites like the Villa Borghese and the Thermae of Caracita as venues. So football is popular as well. It also hosted basketball too with Virtus Roma. And rugby is getting to be more popular in Italy as rugby, funnily enough. Though Italy is not so great with rugby, though. So there's that. Spaghetti westerns are the best. Actually, yes. Speaking about spaghetti westerns, actually, here's a funny thing. A lot of the spaghetti westerns that you saw in the films were actually made in Italy. And this was often done by Western films produced in Europe. And mainly because most of these westerns were produced and directed by actually Italians. That's where the term came from. and mainly the one major film that was directed by the Italians was actually A Fistful of Dollars. Because Sergio Leone was one of them. And he starred a guy named Clint Eastwood. And its impact on spaghetti westerns was massive. And it led to the popularity of Clint Eastwood as both as an actor and a director too. That's why they call it spaghetti westerns. Italy, exactly. That's 120% correct. It's pretty crazy to think about. And then, so let's go ahead and check where we're at right now. We're going through Bosnia right now, and we're going to reach to the coast, the Adriatic coast of Croatia. So we have Switzerland, copper sticking out the whiskey. Clint Eastwood started Rawhide, I believe. Let me see. Let me check his filmography. Because he's producing over 50 films, so let's... I don't think he started Rawhide. Actually, yes, he was actually, wait, I was wrong. Clint Eastwood actually was in Rawhide. He was Rowdy Yates from season 1 to 7, and his trail boss in season 8. Yes, he was one of them, along with Eric Fleming, Shep Woodley as Scout, and Paul Brindar as well. But it featured a lot of different guest stars too. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's see. We got 51% fuel. I think we have enough to get 320 nautical miles to get there. I think we have enough. Yeah. Yeah, we're about to reach the Adriatic Sea. Yep, and there it is, the Adriatic Sea. So that here's the Adriatic Sea. This is actually the eastern coast of Italy. This sea has over 1,300 islands, mainly in Croatia. But historically, Adriatic Sea has been pretty important for the balance of power in the Mediterranean. At one point, Austria had possessions in the Adriatic Sea. Yes, Austria, which is currently landlocked. But the one who controlled the Adriatic often controlled much of the eastern Mediterranean. And that and some of the largest places here in the Adriatic include Venice, Trieste, and Split. And in fact, the Italians and the Austrians have actually tried to gain control of the Adriatic Sea during the 19th and 20th century. So that's kind of a bit of the background of the Adriatic Sea. But currently there's economic zones for Italy, Croatia, Albania, Montenegro, Slovenia, and Bosnia. With Bosnia being obviously the smallest at only 50 square kilometers of area. Hey, Super Typhon, good to have you here. Super Typhon. Good to see you, Super Typhon. Great to have you here. So we're actually on our way to Italy. We're going to cross into the Adriatic Sea from So I'm doing week 1 of my Italy city tour. So with Rome being such a vast city, I had to split this up for 2 weeks. So I decided to. So I'm taking the Just Flight 146 from Istanbul to Rome, which basically is from one Rome to another Rome, basically. So I think we're about ready to talk about the next thing. We're going to now talk about the Vatican City itself, because it's actually right next to Rome. We gotta talk about the Vatican City. So the Vatican City. What's there to say about the Vatican? Well, for one, it's actually a completely independent city-state and enclave, surrounded by the city of Rome itself. Now, the Vatican City became independent with the Lateran Treaty in 1929, and its distinct territory with full ownership, exclusive dominion, and sovereign authority of the Holy See, and that itself is a sovereign entity. With an area of 49 hectares and a population of around 453 people, it is the smallest state in the world in both area and population, by the way. Basically, it is a ecclesiastical monarchical state ruled by the Pope, who is the Bishop of Rome and the head of the Catholic Church. And the highest state that functions all the clergy of various national origins here. So pretty cool stuff. The Holy See itself dates back to early Christianity and is the principal episcopal see of the Catholic Church, meaning the jurisdiction of the area, which has nearly 1.3233 billion Catholics in the world as of 2018 in the Latin Church, and 23 Eastern Catholic churches as well in the East. So pretty crazy itself, and only the modern state was just established back in 1929. Within the Vatican City are many of the religious and cultural sites, St. Peter's Basilica, Sistine Chapel, and the Vatican Museums, and features some of the world's most famous paintings and sculptures. And believe it or not, their economy was driven by donation to the faithful, like postage stamps and souvenirs, fees from museums, and publications. Which is pretty cool to talk about the Vatican. I'm currently making an Egypt of myself in the base A320. Oh no, Dougal. Really? Medic. Actually, I have the medic sound emote. If someone could actually access that sound emote, I haven't.
Medic! I need a medic!
Yeah, I have sound alerts, Dougal, so. Yeah, I finally got that set up as well. So the history of the Vatican City. What do we know about this? Well, the Vatican itself was actually used all the way back in the Roman Republic for an area called the Eur Vaticanus, which is a marshy area of the west bank of the Tiber. Due to its vicinity to their arch-fiend, the Etruscan city of Bay, it was subject for being floods. The Romans originally considered this area to be uninhabitable. And during the Roman Empire days, many villas were constructed there once they reclaimed the area, and they often drained the area and laid out her gardens in the 1st century AD. And this area was continually developed through the area. And one of those areas was the Circus of Nero, which is an ancient circus during the area. One of the most famous monuments actually is the Vatican obelisk. It was originally taken by Caligula from Hierapolis in Egypt, and it still remained to this day here in the Vatican as a sign of martyrdom for many Christians after the Great Fire of Rome. And apparently there have been lots of funeral monuments, mausoleums, and all that stuff were built during the Roman era until the construction of the Constantine Basilica of St. Peter in the 4th century. The remains of the ancient necropolis were brought to light during renovation of the popes throughout the centuries, increasing in frequency until it was excavated by Pope Pius XII from 1939 to 1941. And the Constantine Basilica that was built in 326 was buried in that cemetery. From then on, the area became more popular with activity at the Basilica. And then during the medieval periods until the 18th to the 19th century, the Vatican area were ruled by the popes, and they had, like I said about Rome, they had a secular role as arbitrators between the Christian monarchs and the increasing powers of the Pope. And they ruled an area known as the Papal States, and basically they had their own history too. And they used to cover a large portion of the Italian peninsula for more than 1,000 years, all the way to the 19th century, when all the territory to the Vatican of the papacy were absorbed by the Kingdom of Italy, which is this map over here. So there, let me go over a few things. This here was Sardinia Piedmont. This was controlled by the Lombards. There was the Papal States, Kingdom of Two Sicilies. So this kingdom here, Kingdom of Sardinia, they took over all of this, and they took it in 1870, when Rome was annexed by the Italians. And this led to known as the thing called the Roman Question, because they want to know what happened to Rome. Now, Italy made no attempt to interfere with the Holy See, but it did confiscate many of the church properties during this time. And the Quinarial Palace became the Royal Palace of Italy. Thereafter, the popes remained undisturbed in the Vatican walls, but the popes did not recognize the Italian king's right to rule in Rome, and they refused to leave the Vatican until the dispute was resolved in 1921. And that was resolved by the Lateran Treaty. And basically, this treaty established the Vatican as a completely independent city-state and returned the special status of Catholic Christianity in Italy to the Vatican. Now, here's the thing about the Vatican, though. During World War II, it was completely neutral. And although German troops occupied the city of Rome after the armistice of Cassino, the Germans actually respected the Vatican as neutral territory. And one of the main responsibilities the Vatican did was to avoid the bombing of Rome. And as the U.S. entered the war, the U.S. actually didn't want to bomb the place because they didn't want to offend the Catholic members of the military. As well. And that's what allowed Rome to avoid the fate it did originally. After World War II, the Pius X refrained from creating parliaments during the war, and by the end of it there were some vacancies, mainly the Secretary of State, the Camerlengo, and more. So in 1946 they created 32 new cardinals, and basically for those who don't know about cardinals, basically cardinals are the senior member of the clergy and behind the Pope. So basically these cardinals are appointed for life, and they help elect a new Pope. So I forgot to make that mention. They also disbanded the Pontifical Military Corps, except for the Swiss Guard. And in 1984 they created a new concordat between the Holy See and Italy, which allowed the Catholic Church to have it as the state religion of Italy. And that leaves us to the history of the Vatican City. So that's about the history of the Vatican. Hey, Castell's back. Awesome. So there's Castella, there's Papa Stick, Alpha Whiskey. Look at this, we're flying over the Adriatic. Hey, Raleigh Mall. Good to have you here, Raleigh Mall. Give him a shout out. I know you didn't stream last night, Raleigh, but definitely check out Raleigh Mall. Really awesome content creator. He does a lot of Australian aviation history. He's well known for doing lots of Australian flights. So definitely check him out. Yeah, beautiful. It's beautiful out here today. So many streamers. I know there's so many of us, but I'm glad you guys checked me out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great out here today. Viper Iceman's also going to Rome, Italy. Yeah, Iceman's going to Rome as well. But yeah, I'm really liking this plane. This 146 is absolutely amazing. Such a great plane. And I managed to actually get the start of my own. It's so fun. So for next week, by the way, we'll be doing we're doing the third week of the Philippine Bush Tour from Antique Airports, RPBS. We're gonna fly to RPBA. And then back up the coast. So we're going to visit the Visayas region of the Philippines. Probably going to take a different plane for that one. Probably take the Turbo Arrow for that. And then next Sunday, we all know we're doing part 2. And we're going to fly through all of Rome and the Vatican as well. So we're going to go visit the rest of the iconic landmarks here in Rome. So it should be a very fun stream. Yeah, so many different times around the world too. Yeah, it depends on where you live. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I've been doing lots of these flights right now. I mean, I hope you guys like the classical music. I think it really fits Rome. It fits the classical era of Rome beautifully. But yeah, I mean, with all the Italian world updates, there's plenty of other Italian cities. Florence, Milan, Venice. But those are all wonderful cities. Turin, Torino would be pretty cool. Naples. Like, Italy's got so many iconic cities to think about. Plus, there's also lots in the United Kingdom I still haven't got a chance to visit. And obviously, of course, I'll do something very similar to this when I do Paris. It's good. It is. I think this is a great idea to fly the airliner flight, to talk about the history and stuff there, and then check out the landmarks the next week. And I might do that one for Paris, probably. Do the same thing. But I'll have to figure out which city I want to fly from Paris to. That would be a good question. I mean, London to Paris would be a short flight. Maybe Rome to Paris. And also, there's also Vienna too. I have done a flight in Switzerland, Austria, actually, Castello. It's actually on my YouTube, my YT, and I've flown. It was during the Where Eagles Dare thing back last year when the Junkers came in. And mind you, I've done about over hundreds of flight hours in the Junkers. I mean, it's still one of my favorites. I still need to get back to flying the Junkers a bit more. That thing's getting forgotten about my hangar. I probably should not forget about it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the last part of our slide today. So we're going to talk about let's talk about the geography of the Vatican. This one should be pretty cool. So the geography of the Vatican is kind of unique. I mean, if you look at the right, this is the entire map of the Vatican. It's small. It's a small map, but basically, this talks about all the territory of the Vatican. All its territories are by the wall. So it contains the Vatican Museums, the St. Peter's Basilica, St. Peter's Square, the audience hall, and all the different little gardens around the Vatican as well. Now, the name Vatican was already used for the marsh area in the west bank of the Tiber, but the territory of the Vatican City includes St. Peter's Square, along with of the Vatican Fields. According to the Lateran Treaty, certain properties of the Holy See that are located in Italian territory enjoy extraterritorial status similar to foreign embassies. These properties are scattered all over Rome and Italy. Now, there are no passport controls for visitors entering the Vatican from Italy, and there's free public access to St. Peter's Square and Basilica as well. And mainly these areas are patrolled by the police agents of the Vatican City and not the Italian police as well. So that is a bit about the geography of it. The culture of the Vatican is very rich too. I mean, especially for religious reasons, it's very rich. It's home to some of the most famous art on the planet, including St. Peter's Basilica. For their architecture, the Sistine Chapel is world famous for its frescoes, which include works from Virumensio and Basilica, and the Last Judgment itself by Michelangelo. And there's also many artists who decorated the interiors of the Vatican, and that included Raphael and Fra Angelico of the Renaissance period. It also was home to the collections of the Vatican Museum, which is so the highest historical, scientific, and cultural importance in the world. And in 1984, the Vatican was added as a World Heritage Site, and is the only one that consists of an entire country, entire state. So it's pretty cool. It's also home to a football championship with 8 different teams, including one made by the entire Swiss Guard as well. And of course, one of the most interesting things about the Vatican, its economy, is mainly by donations and such, which makes it kind of unique compared to a lot of the other states as well. And of course, it's got lots of relations around the world too. Yeah, the Swiss Guards are all Swiss officers. That's correct. And the Swiss Guard have a lot of history too, by the way. So the Swiss Guard has been around since 1506 on January 22nd. They protect the Pope in the Apostolic Palace, which is the residence of the Catholic Church. And it was established by Pope Julius II and is among the oldest military units in continuous operation on the planet. They've been around since the Italian War of the 15th century. And in one of the most famous acts of the Swiss Guard was during the was in 1527, which they died during the sack of Rome to allow Pope Clement the Seventh to escape. And this last stand battlefield was such an iconic battle, it led to the song "The Last Stand" by Sabaton. And it still has quite a major deal with modern history. So definitely a very important military history, very much so. And finally, in Virumensio Airport, there is one more airport we have to talk about. I forgot to turn off. And finally, there was one final slide we gotta talk about. And this is actually the main airport we're landing here today. This is Rome Virumensio International Airport, also known as Leonardo da Vinci International. Now, this airport serves Rome. It's located in Virumensio. It's not only Italy's most busiest airport, it is also the 11th busiest airport in all of Europe, and is the world's 49th busiest, with 43.5 million passengers served during this time. Now, it served as the main hub of Alitalia, the then flag carrier of Italy and the largest airline. It was terminated on October 25th, 2021, and is now the main hub for its successor, ITA Airways. Now, this airport opened for operational on August 20th, 1960, and officially started on January 15th, 1961. During this time, it was mainly constructed for the 1960s Summer Olympics. After these 1960s Olympics, to provide less congestion for the Ciampano Airport. It is currently operated by many different carriers, particularly ITA Airways, which serves all around the world, from Athens to Amsterdam, New York, Paris, Tokyo, Tel Aviv. In addition to it, it's also a major hub for Wizz Air, too, flying from all around, which is the Hungarian ultra-low-cost carrier as well, Wizz. And they fly all around Europe as well. And of course, they serve other airliners too. Turkish Airlines flies there from Istanbul. You have Korean Air from Seoul flies into Rome. American Airlines can fly there from Dallas and New York, fly from here too to Rome. And of course, Aer Lingus flies from Dublin. So yeah, this airport is quite a big deal. The busiest domestic route is to Catania, Sicily, in Palmero. Sicily is the most busy because it's very popular for tourists. And the busiest European route is from Paris to Rome, followed by from Rome to London, and finally Rome to Amsterdam. And then for intercontinental routes, the busiest is New York JFK, Doha in Qatar, then to Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, and then what used to be the #1 busiest was actually to Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion. So, and number 5 is actually Cairo. So those are some of the busiest routes you see from the airport. So that's it. That's all the slides done for today. All 38 of them. Now, hopefully I can get them all downloaded for you. Hopefully I can actually download PDF. Actually, guys, if you don't mind, after stream, if you guys are on my Discord, I'll actually download the PDF. Maybe I'll do a whole city tour page thing, and you guys can have all the PDFs. And you guys can redo the city tours, which I think that's what I should probably do next time, is download all the stuff. That way you guys can all catch along with my plans. I think it's time we start our descent. Let's go to... I think it's time we descend. Let's go to 6,000 feet. We're going to... Altitude arm. Indicated airspeed is on, and we're going to descend. I'm going to lower the engine power, and we're ready to make our descent. Great idea. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. The busiest airport in UK, yeah, it's Heathrow. Heathrow is the busiest, and it's still one of the world's busiest in terms of international air traffic. Yeah, that's a great idea. I agree with you, friend all. I want to thank you guys so much for coming to my stream. I really appreciate it. All the support is lovely. I really do. That's right, pound. So actually, I think we should get it pretty quickly. So I see Dale, and I think I also see Border down there too. So maybe they might catch up and see Viper Strike trying to make a landing in the BA-146. Eur District, despite not knowing Eastwood starred in Rawhide. No worries. Like, I'm young. Remember, I'm born in the 90s. I don't really know about Rawhide, Howie. You know that, right? No. I don't know everything. Like, I'm smart, but there are things even I don't know. And that's what we're here for, to learn. Let's see who's still... Okay, I see all you guys still back there. Oh, nice. Nice to see you guys still back there. Just double checking. So I want to ask you guys, I know there's some big things going on this weekend. So like I said, part 3 of the Philippines tour is still going to come. As well. And then we'll do part 2 of the Rome trip. This time I'll get all the major sceneries and stuff. So we're gonna go ahead. Actually, this would be a good time, guys. Let's do some predictions, shall we? Got my predictions set up. We're about to make our descent. We're at 19,000 feet. So let's get back to the drone camera. So we still have Switzerland, Cockpit, Sig, and Alpha Whiskey. So we can actually see to our left, there's Rome. So there's the city of Rome to our left. Here it is. So I see Dale down there. I wonder what Dale's doing back there. Hope he's not getting into trouble. But I mean, what a great flight, guys. I love this flight. There's the Tiber River. So we're going to curve around. We're going to see quite a few of the Italian peaks. But I mean, the Italian countryside is absolutely beautiful. If it's one thing they did a really good job with this update. I know that I wish they could do better with some of the modeling, like especially with the Colosseum. I think the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and all that should be hand modeled. But with the terrain textures, like all the data, the Italian countryside, it looks absolutely incredible to fly this in. Looks absolutely amazing to fly over. That's for sure. So we're at 13,000 feet. We should continue to descend. But man, I mean, Italy's just stunning. I mean, what a stunning place to fly in the sim. I mean, the update did wonders in Italy. What it did for the scenery here in Italy, it did wonders for that place. It's just stunning. Oh, is that an F1 track I see down here? Ah, it's the Autodromo Nacional de Valleunga. Ah, the Valleunga Circuit. That's what it is. Just look that up. Yeah, the thing we just passed was the Valleunga Circuit. That one is a racing circuit for the Rome Grand Prix. It's currently used for the Whelen Euro Series and the FIA Touring World Championship. And the World Touring Car Champion races were held here. So this, I think they once held the F1 here, didn't they? I know they held the European Le Mans was held here. Okay, we're hitting near 6,000. 6,800 feet. Okay. 6,000 feet. Yes, the Italian approaches are kind of different from a lot of the other approaches that I've covered, like the way they shaped it. Definitely makes the Italian approach much more interesting compared to some of the others. It's like what I noticed for when I went to Milan from Dublin. Oh, I mean, there's a lot of people what we can do. I'm gonna go ahead and deploy them. Gonna slow down a little bit, keep my speed below 210 knots. we'll be making our landing pretty shortly. Whoa, the autopilot came off. Whoops. That's where the autopilot came off. Oh. Time to be the army up. So now I'm going to head down to 2,500 feet. I think it'd be a good time to actually turn on the lane lights. I think the lane lights are around here somewhere. Where would you put the lane lights? Ah, right here. Those are taxi. Lane lights on. Yeah, I'm liking this plane a lot. I like this 146. Just, like I said, I still need more time with it, but I mean, I'm getting the hang of this fluid plane pretty quickly. I mean, the thing I think about the most is, it's a good thing I'm flying a lot more airliners, so I'm getting more used to how they work. We're gonna go ahead and deploy the landing gear. Get ready to land. So Flamincio is right here. There's Flamincio right here. I think we turn. There it is. Virumensio is to our. There it is. So. Gotta adjust the throttle. Gotta adjust the throttle. Gotta adjust the throttle. Remember, this is manual throttle. This is not like the more modern airliners. I have to keep the throttle. Keeping the throttle. once we hit. There's Virumensio. There's our runway right in front of us. So let's go ahead. Once we hit the yellow path, we're going to begin our. Let's turn on the locator. Okay, let's go ahead and turn off the autopilot. Autopilot is disabled. Let's land this thing, shall we? Now the airport's short, it's only 8 feet, so this should be interesting how we're gonna land. Next, new version 1.3 we can is enabling to have any flaps, any bug. Ah. Now remember, guys, when this plane was made to land at London City, which is a very tough runway to land. Which for you not available. The click works with current flap setting. Yep.
Think rate.
Pull up.
1,000. Pull up. Pull.
Brace.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
I floated too much on that one. I need to. I'm going to circle back. I'll try this again. I want to make sure I'm landing this thing properly this time. I didn't want to brace. Hey, if I'm doing this, I'd rather land this thing properly. Brace, Celestial Navigator. Good to see you there, Celestial Navigator. just being a little careful. Just being careful. Some planes, this and the Honda Jet, use set full flaps. For fuel.
Pull up.
Okay.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
500.
Pull up. Pull.
Speed, well, on speed brake.
30. 20. 10.
Ground oil.
That was a good. That was good. Take a 2-4. That's perfect landing. Nice and. How about that, guys? Negative 200. That was a good. That. According to the thing, that was a perfect landing. That kind of agree. That was good. Bit of a floaty approach, but I mean, the wind here. Yeah, this area had quite a bit of wind. Yeah, 10 knot wind. Yeah. That's kind of a major thing. I'm gonna find some parking. I'm gonna park this somewhere. Let's see. Gonna find some good small jet parking. Yeah, it was a bit floaty. I think pulling out that but I think pulling out that speed brake, actually air brake, kind of helped. So we're gonna find some parking. That was a great flight. That landing, it was more exciting than it needed to be. I actually had to go around, but I could have landed it if I brought the air brake out. But probably. But hey, first full flight, first full stream with this thing. Fantastic jet plane. Fantastic plane. Yeah, the speed brake move. Yeah, the speed brake actually ended up being a lifesaver. So we're gonna get this parked. I'm thinking of a parking lot 509 would be pretty good. I know this seems like boring to fly into the taxiway, but man, we actually made it to Virumensio Airport. Actually, you know, I'm not going to park in the gate. I'm actually going to take one of the other parking lots. But man, what a great flight that was today. I really enjoyed the flight. I'm going to park here today. So there you go. There. Wow, guys. what a great way to end today's stream. We're here at Leonardo da Vinci International, here in Rome. Fiumicino. Great to have you here. We're Rome's International Airport. What an absolutely beautiful way to end today's flight. Bit of a long one, but it was actually a good thing we did. So guys, so next Sunday we'll take back off here and we'll visit the rest of Rome. And then next Wednesday we will be continuing our Philippines bush journey through the Visayas Islands. We get some beautiful jungles, mountains, and in the ocean as well. So, and then we'll visit Rome on Sunday. So, by the way, stick around. We're gonna find someone to raid for today. I know Iceman's going over Rome, but since I've raided him last time, I want to raid someone a bit different. I'm thinking we actually go and raid Angry One Horn for today. I think we're going to raid Angry One Horn. But thank you guys so much for coming around to my stream. I really appreciate every single one of you here. You guys have all been amazing as always. Thank you for your support. So guys, stick around for the raid to Angry One Horn. So thank you guys so much for the stream, and I hope to see you on Wednesday at 1600 Zulu. Take care, everyone. Viperstrike 95 is going to be signing off. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Sunday.